So having your little prop, we're going to start in a supported bridge today. So just go ahead and come onto your back. And before we go into our supported bridge, let's give the knees a little squeeze into the chest. And you can just rock a little bit from side to side. So these morning classes, especially, things can feel really tight. You might even just be like holding the backs of your thighs. That's fine. Like knees can be a little wider. And then take some nice deep inhales through the nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. Good, and then go ahead and just place your feet down on the mat here. Make sure that you have enough space. So you want ankles underneath knees. If you get in really tight, it's a lot of pressure on the knees. So just give yourself a little room. And then I would recommend just going nice and low today. So if you have a yoga block, you're gonna go the lowest height, you're gonna slide it underneath your sacrum. Again, you could roll up your mat here. You could use some firmer cushions from the couch, like a beach towel, folded up. So any makeshift prop here. And if you don't have a prop, and if this doesn't feel good this morning, you can just be in constructive rest. So feet wide, knees knock in towards each other, and that's going to give you some of this feeling as well. So maybe snuggle the shoulders underneath a little bit, palms face up towards the ceiling. And then do just make sure that the prop that you're using feels comfortable. So sometimes we get it a little high, so kind of in the lumbar. You want it lower, so the buns are kind of supported a little bit here. Should feel fairly comfortable. And then right away, just start to drop into your JaBoYo breath. That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose, creating that soft rush of air in the back of your throat. You're going to hear that slight sound. Visualize the breath starting below your belly and then rising all the way up, so you're getting a nice, deep, full breath. And then as you exhale, everything empties out, contracts in. As much as possible, keeping your attention on the sound of your breath. That being said, you're going to get distracted by sounds happening in the room you're in. You're going to get distracted by the thoughts coming in and out of your head. That's okay. That stuff is always going to be there. When you notice that your attention has wandered, however, just come back to your body, to your breath. You might have to do that 1,000 times. That's okay. And another moment or two here, just soaking up the quiet. Always a nice thing to do, especially when our lives are so busy and crazy. It's this real beautiful gift we can give ourselves to slow down, quiet down, check in. Maybe you're starting to feel a greater sense of ease in your body already. Conversely, maybe you've started to grip in places that you don't need to. So perhaps the shoulders are coming up around the ears. Maybe there's a little tension in the inner thigh, the groin area. So soften in those spots. Yes, there's effort to be in these poses, but there's also kind of a sense of ease in them as well. We work the places that we need to. All right, so just bring your arms in a little closer to the sides of your waist. So palms will just face in. We're gonna get into the shoulder girdle a little bit here. So just keeping your hips on the block as you inhale, stretch your arms up and overhead any amount. It might take a couple of rounds before things start to release in the shoulder girdle. As you exhale, you're just releasing down. Inhale, reach up and overhead. Good, exhale, lower down. And then just continuing like that. Eyes can still be closed. They're open, gaze is just soft and steady in front of you, and you're moving with your breath, nice and easy. So finding a pace that feels really good and organic in your body this morning, not too fast, not too slow. Couple more rounds. Observe if you've started to roll to the outer edges of your feet. So sometimes that happens in this passive back bend. Keep the arches in your feet lifting evenly. Feel the inner thighs spiral down. Good, let's inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Good, and then interlace your fingers, press your palms to face behind you. It's okay if you have a little bend in your elbows to do this, especially if you're a little bulkier in the shoulders, a little tighter. And then start to feel the inner arm wrap towards the outer arm. That might be really subtle. It's going to intensify things a little bit. Keep that breath moving. Good. Observe which index finger is on top. So release your hands and then palms or fingers stretch back. So palms facing towards each other. And then interlace the opposite way. So the funny finger is going to come on top. It's going to feel a little weird. And then again, press your palms back behind you any amount, maybe with a deep bend in your elbows if you're a little tighter. Inner arm wrapping towards outer arm. You're widening across the backs of your shoulders a little bit, which is already happening naturally in this pose. Good, release. And then as you exhale, just take your arms by your side, press into your feet, lift your hips up off your block, just move it out of the way. And then take your feet as wide as your mat, bring your arms out in a T shape, and then moving really, really slow. Start to windshield wiper the legs. And as you go nice and slow like this, just notice how you start to get sensation in different places, how it starts to move a little bit. So just releasing, doing a little counter pose in our spine here after that nice long back bend. Keeping those shoulder blades pressing down nice and heavy. And then the next time your knees are falling off to the right, let's just stay here like this. So either looking straight up at the ceiling, maybe you start to roll towards your left cheek so you'll feel a little bit of a stretch through the right side of your neck. Good. Inhale, knees up to center. And then exhale, they drop off to the left, maybe rolling onto the right cheek if that feels okay. Skipping it if it doesn't feel good. So we're always making little modifications. Even though we do the same poses over and over again, things feel different every time we get on our mat. So the practice is really fluid. Good. Come back to center. And then again, hug the knees in here. Maybe it's going to feel a little different, maybe a little more open, maybe not yet. You might not be there. That's okay. And then depending upon how you're feeling here, as always, you can roll off to one side or the other and come up to tabletop. If it feels okay to rock forward and back, you're welcome to do that. Sometimes first thing in the morning, that can feel a little cranky. So always optional. So finding our cat-cow positions or tabletop position, shoulders over wrist, fingers spread, hips over your knees. Then just moving again, nice and slow, maybe closing your eyes. So you inhale, start to find that arch. You're bringing the chest forward through the gates of your shoulders. As you exhale, press the mat away, start to round in. Inhaling, finding your extension. Good, exhale, round. And then you're gonna continue like this. Just gently warming up the spine a little more, finding that movement. So we're finding both flexion and extension. I'm starting to find this idea of vinyasa, connecting the movement with the breath. So it starts to feel like this moving meditation, which is really nice. Good. On your next inhale, come back to neutral spine. You're neither arching nor rounding. Keep your gaze an inch or two in front of your fingertips. We're just going to do opposite arm and leg. So little bird dog, create a little core stabilization. Find a little balance here. So as you inhale, extend your left arm forward, right leg lifts, toes are pointing down, hips nice and even. Exhale, release. Good. Inhale, left leg, right arm. See how long you can get. Exhale, release down. Continue like that. Let's do 3 to each side. You might wobble a little bit here. And the more we do this, the easier it feels. Feel your belly button pull towards your back ribs. Good, and the next time you are on that right leg, left arm, just take a couple of breaths here. Maybe spin that right hip down a little bit. Sometimes it likes to open up here. So keep outer hip squeezing in there nice and even. Firm that lifted leg. Good, exhale, release down. Inhale, left leg, right arm. So same thing, make sure that that left hip is releasing down, it's even, and then you can kind of pull, make sure that this right arm bone is in the shoulder socket. Notice if you start to overarch in the lumbar a little bit. Find your belly, deep inhale. Exhale, release. Quick little child's pose, so big toes together, knees apart. Melt your hips back. And you can rest on your forehead, you can make fists with your hands, you can have your head on a block here. And we're gonna find a little twist. So just starts to walk your arms off to the right. Tiny, tiny little amount starting out. You can start to spin your left ribs towards that right thigh. And you can think downward facing dog arms here. So arms about shoulders distance apart, spreading, fingers pressing evenly. Your forearms will be lifting up off the mat, and that's going to help you to find a little more twist. Good, walk back to center. And then off to the left. Observing if this side feels a little different in your body. Good, walk arms back to center here. Rock on up to your tabletop and then walk your hands slightly forward. Shift your shoulders over your wrists and then nice and slow, we're gonna bend our elbows. They squeeze in towards the midline. We land on our belly. All right, so arms by your side, tops of the feet pressing. You can rest on your forehead here. Really anchor down into your feet so you're pressing into all 10 toenails. Feel the outer hips squeeze in so the glutes are firing here. Lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. As you inhale, keep all of that work down in your lower body and your legs. Start to extend your head and chest up. Hands can lift up off the mat. You can still keep the palms facing towards each other. As the shoulder heads lift here, feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other on the back of your mat. Back of the neck nice and long. Front of the neck is nice and long too. So sometimes we can arch back or we can tuck our chin, split the difference. As you exhale, lower down. Let's do that one more time. As you inhale, head and chest lift. And then this time, if you'd like to lift your legs up off the mat, can do that. Notice if it feels easier in your body to lift the front half, the chest, or does it feel easier to lift your legs? So just doesn't matter, but just noticing and then trying to lift really even. Good. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release. Just bring your fingertips underneath your shoulder heads. Same work happening in the legs and in the feet. Elbows squeeze in, shoulder heads lift. Low cobra moving with the breath. As you inhale, chest extends forward and up. As you exhale, lower down. Inhaling, extension up. Good. Exhale, lower. Inhale, come on up. One more as you exhale, lower down. Inhale, come on up. And then from here, just look over your right shoulder or move in that direction. I've got a nice little crink in my neck here, so I can't make it all the way, but just feel that stretch. Inhale to center. Squeeze the elbows in again. And then as you exhale, just move towards looking out over that left shoulder, whether or not you get all the way there. Good. Come back to center. And then press to your tabletop. Curl your toes under, making your way into your first downward facing dog of the day, of the weekend. Hallelujah, it's the weekend. Find a little movement here, pedal back and forth between your feet. Shift hips side to side, so anything that feels good in your body. Kind of just noticing how things are feeling. So eventually you find a place of stillness and you're going to land with your feet hips distance apart. And you'll know that because you're gazing between your feet, your ears line up with your biceps, the inner arms. You can start to wrap your inner arm towards your outer arm here. And again, you want to make sure that fingers are spreading, pressing evenly into all 10 knuckles. So especially if you're a little tighter in hamstrings and lower back, little bend in the knees is always going to be nice. Otherwise, if you're a little more flexible, maybe you start to engage the muscles above the knees from the front of the leg to the back of the leg. We're all stretching the sit bones up towards the ceiling, whatever that looks like in our bodies. And then we're just taking a few breaths here. A nice steady inhale through the nose, full complete exhale through the nose. Good. And then just nice and easy, start to walk your feet forward. Ooh, to meet your hands. So finding our little standing cobra here as you inhale, hands on shins or thighs, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Again, a nice generous bend in the knees might feel good. Exhale, fold in. Let the back of the neck lengthen. Inhale, chest extends forward, shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. As you exhale, fold. Good. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. And then this time, press into your feet. Take your arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart and we start to flow nice and easy here. Just coming into our half sun salutes. Inhaling, reaching up. You can reach forward and up too. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Let the back of the neck lengthen and release. Inhale, chest extends forward. Exhale, fold back in. Inhale, press into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. A couple more of these. Enjoying how they feel, this gentle movement to wake up the body. Inhale, stretching up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, release back into your Uttanasana. And then inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So we have two more, just moving on your own. You can follow along here. It might feel good to close your eyes. Just make sure that it does feel good though. Absolutely no rush. Good. And when you've completed that second round, just pause in your mountain pose. So palms together at your heart. You can close your eyes, check in. So things starting to shift. Might be feeling a little bit of heat happening in the body. Maybe even the breath is moving a little quicker. The heart might be beating a little faster. Might be feeling a little taller, a little more stretched out already. Maybe you're not there. That's okay too. Good. Let's blink our eyes open. Release the arms by the side. So you inhale, arms reach up. Bring your right fingertips to your left wrist. And then as you exhale, I just forgot what is my left and right, especially when I'm talking opposite. Lean off to the right. My brain just stopped there on a Saturday morning. So feeling this nice long stretch through the left side of the body. Pressing evenly into your feet, maybe looking up underneath that top arm. Shoulder blades still releasing down and squeezing in towards each other. Good. Inhale up to center, release the wrist, and then left fingertips come to that right wrist. Pull up, get taller. Anchor into both feet, and then start to lean off to the left any amount. Oof, that feels good. Breath still smooth and steady. Maybe you're gazing up underneath that top arm. Good. Inhale up. And then let's keep our arms stretching up here. Maybe take them out a little wider than shoulders distance. And then just make sure your feet are about hips distance apart. It's okay if you're a little closer together and you feel steady there. As you exhale, start to bend the knees, finding your chair pose. Good. Nice deep inhale here. And let's just flow this. As you exhale, hinge forward, stretch your arms by your side. Inhale, knees stay bent back into your Utkatasana chair pose. Exhale, squeeze the glutes a lot as you press up. Good. Inhale, knees bend. Exhale, hinge forward. Keep the shoulder heads lifting. Inhale, back into your Utkatasana chair pose. Exhale, press the legs to straight. Couple more here. You're going to feel the quadriceps start to burn, the glutes start to burn. Enjoy it. Inhale, you find your chair. Good. Exhale. Press legs to straight. One more. Inhale, knees bend. Exhale, hinge forward. Good. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, press your legs to straight. Hands come together at your heart. Have a couple of blocks handy at the top of your mat. You may or may not need them. We're just going to get into the hip flexors and the hamstrings a little bit here. So you're at the top of your mat, finding your nice Tadasana, and we're just going to start to add on here. All right, as we inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. We're going to keep our right foot forward and step our left leg way back. Land on that left knee. Make sure you're not on a tightrope, so walk that right foot to the right, and this is where you might want some blocks. If they bring the floor a little higher, you can be on any height. So feeling the stretch in that left hip flexor, front of the leg. Exhale in here. And then inhale, start to straighten that right leg any amount. It's not going to get all the way there, probably starting out. And just flow like this a few times. Exhale, sink in. Good. Inhale, pull back. Couple more. Exhale, melt in. Inhale, lengthen back into your half splits. And then exhale this time. Let's just hold here. So maybe you adjust the proppage. If you're a little more flexible, you can slide your left knee back a little further. And then really release this left hip down. And it's intense, so send your breath there. Lots of big muscles attaching right there. So it's nice to feel the sensation kind of open things up. All right, so from here, we come back to that Ardha Hanumanasana. Maybe you walk your blocks back with you this time. So you can be pretty upright here, especially if you're tighter. Little bend in that right knee is going to be nice too if your hamstring is really tight. If you're a little more on the flexible side, perhaps you come to fingertips and then you start to forward fold over this right leg. Keep a little openness, a little cobra pose in your upper body if you're doing that. And then you can also really flex these right toes, and that's going to intensify things. So the final little piece here, feel this right hip draw back, left hip forward. So it's this scissoring action happening in your legs, hip bones facing forward, so we're neutral. Good work. And then we're gonna rock forward here. Plant your palms on either side of that right foot. And then actually, let's just keep the back knee down, come back to your tabletop position. All right, and let's go inhale, arch into the cow stretch. Exhale, round in. Good, inhale, come to a neutral spine, shift forward slightly, exhale, lower to halfway, and then land on your belly. Good, inhale, low cobra. As you exhale, press to your tabletop and then just step this left foot forward. So setting up for our second side, which might feel a lot different. So grab your props, make sure that you're not on a tightrope. Exhale, melt that right hip down. Inhale, pull back. Straighten that left leg any amount, might be a deep, deep bend in the knee. Exhale, melt in. Inhaling, pulling back. Good, exhale, melt in. Maybe things are starting to feel a little easier, maybe not. Sometimes these ones never feel good. All right, so let's pull back into this half splits one more time. And then exhale, coming into the hold after we warmed that up a little bit. So again, making all kinds of adjustments. If you're tighter, blocks come higher. You might even be upright like this and still getting a really good stretch in that right hip flexor area. Of course, if you're a little more flexible, you're sliding that right knee back a little more. Might be on palms or fingertips. What's going on with your breath? Is it moving? Are you clenching your face, your jaw? Soften there, smile. It's only yoga. We're not going to be here forever. All right, we're going to slide back to our Ardha Hanumanasana half splits. So again, adjust as needed. Little bend in the knee if you're really tight in that left hamstring. Good, left hip draws back, right hip forward. If you're a little more flexible, maybe you're hinging forward a tiny amount. Be gentle here. Don't go as far as you think you can. Go a little less far. Listening to your breath. All right, so let's start to rock forward here. Plant your palms. This time, curl those right toes under, firm that thigh up, and we're gonna step our right foot to meet our left foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Let the back of the neck lengthen and release. Inhale, press into your feet. Stretch your arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your hearts. Good, inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep your left foot forward this time. Step your right foot back. Again, just land on that knee. One breath this time, nice and fluid. We come into our low crescent lunge. So just hold this for a few breaths. You can take your arms as wide as you need to bring those elbows to straight. So if you're a little tighter in the shoulders, wider is nice. Otherwise, you can start to bring palms to press together. We all can gaze up. You might fall out of the pose. That definitely challenges the balance. Good, as you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Let's go ahead and curl our right toes under. Keep your hips low. Step back to your plank pose. Take an inhale here. And then exhale, come to knees, lower halfway, hover onto your belly. Inhale, stretch back through your toes. Head and chest extend forward and up, low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then we inhale, lift our right leg. Be careful of kids' furnitures. pets, all the things that might be behind you. Step that right foot through, land on your left knee, and then hands up to this front thigh. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. So legs about hips distance apart. Inhale, stretch up, few breaths, lengthen through the sides of your waist. Feel that lift of your heart up towards the sky. And then maybe bring your gaze up, maybe press palms together. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Curl your left toes under and then step that left foot to meet your right foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Pressing into your feet. Stretching arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Good. Close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths here. Just letting everything slow down, checking in, noticing how you're feeling. Good. So we're going to move into some full sun salutes. We're going to do them with a full crescent pose. So, and then some twisting variations. So again, you can just keep your blocks at the top of your mat. You may need those. So blinking eyes open, arms by your side. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. Good. As you exhale, hinge, forward fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. And it's your choice today. You either step straight back to your downward facing dog. If you want a little heat, step right foot back, then left. Take an inhale here in full plank. And then bring knees to the mat. Exhale, elbows bend, hover at halfway. And then land on your belly. That's all happening in the exhale. Inhale, low cobra. As you exhale, find your downward facing dog. From here, we're going to inhale, lift our right leg up. Exhale, step that foot through. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. You can have a little bend in that back knee. Inhale, rise up, full crescent. Lengthen through the sides of your waist. Direct your tailbone down as your sternum reaches up. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. And again, your choice, step back, downward dog, or find your plank pose. Take an inhale. And then exhale, knees to mat, lower halfway, pause. Exhale the rest of the air out as you lower down. Inhale, cobra. As you exhale, pull back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts, hips stay even. Exhale, step that foot through. Make sure you have enough space. Maybe find a little bend in that right knee. It helps to direct the tailbone down. Rise up. Good. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Your choice, step back, downward dog, or into your plank pose. Take an inhale. Exhale, knees to the earth, lower halfway. Slight pause and then onto your belly. Inhale. Low cobra. Pass through your tabletop, curl toes under, downward facing dog. Few breaths here. So here we are again, a little more than halfway through class. How is your downward dog feeling different now? So we haven't even spent much time in this pose, but doing other stretches help us to find space. So maybe feels like there's a little more room here. See if you can find a little more strength also. So really firm the muscles to the bones. Good. And then you're just going to stay in your downward dog, but bend your knees, come up to your tippy toes, peek where you're going. At the end of your exhale, you can step right then left. You can walk forward. Inhale, chest extends. Exhale, fold in. Pressing into your feet. Stretching arms out and up, taking up lots of space. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Beautiful work. All right, so we're gonna add on here. So as you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. So again, bend knees, plant palms. You can step back to plank, left then right, or simply step back to your downward facing dog and hold. Good. If you're in your plank pose, come to knees, exhale, lower halfway, hover, then all the way down. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale, pull back, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. All right, so we're gonna come into a twist here. So this might be a really nice place to use your block. So you can press your left hand onto the block. Make sure that your wrist is underneath your shoulder. Press to the inner edge of this right foot. And then options with the back leg. Knees either down, or if you want a little more juice, keep the toes curled under and really activate that thigh. So right hand to right hip, start to spin open to the right. Maybe you just stay here like this. Maybe you extend your top arm up. So you don't have to lean that arm back a lot. Keep the shoulder blades stacking on top of each other. But instead, really try to wrap this lowermost left rib to the right and notice how the other ribs on top follow along. And again, if your toes are curled under, really get into that back leg. Fire the muscles up a lot. What's going on with the breath? Keep it moving. Twists are really challenging. You might be shaking a little bit. That's okay. Let's take one more deep inhale. As you exhale, unwind. So let's just all step back to downward facing dog on this one. Good. And then just kind of pedal feet back and forth. Find your place of stillness. As you inhale, your left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. All right, so you're not on a tightrope again. Block can be really nice. If you're a little tighter, it just gives you space. You can use any height. Land with your right shoulder over your right wrist. I'm gonna demo with the back knee down this time. If your toes are curled under, keep that back leg really strong. So left hand to left hip. From this lowermost right rib, start to spin to the left. Breath smooth and steady. And then you can think outer hip squeezing in here too, especially this left one. Fire it up. Maybe you extend your top arm. Again, you don't have to lean it back a lot. Feel the shoulder blades really stack on top of each other. Lower body not doing much of anything here except giving you some stability and support. The twist is happening in the upper body, the torso. You could be gazing up at that top thumb. If it feels okay in your neck, maybe you're just finding another place to look at. Really see what's in front of you. Take it in. Good, one more deep inhale. As you exhale, you unwind here. All right, so if you're on that back knee, curl, toes under, pull back, downward facing dog. Nice deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. And then again, a quick little child's pose. So big toes together, knees apart. Maybe take your knees a little wider. Get into the hips a little more, if that feels good. And then this is our second time here in this child's pose. So again, check in. Notice how it's feeling a little different. Hopefully a little more spacious, a little easier in the body. Might be subtle, but it's pretty amazing how little bit of movement, little bit of work really goes a long way. It really shifts how we feel. Really connecting with your breath again in this pose. So slowing the breath down, stretching out that ujjayi. Good. As you inhale, rock on up to your tabletop. Curl your toes under, downward facing dog. Good. And then as you inhale, find a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, you can walk forward a step left then right. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Good, inhale, press into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So we're gonna do some externally rotated poses here. We're gonna move towards our triangle pose. So again, having a block can be really nice, just to give you a little more height. So we're gonna step nice and wide on the long edge of the mat. And you can hold your arms up, wrists underneath, wrists over ankles rather, is a good gauge for this pose. From deep within this right hip socket, we turn that leg out to 90 degrees. Press to the inner edge of the foot. Engage the muscles above this knee so that leg is really strong and active. And then we turn this back foot in quite a bit. You want to see that your right heel is intersecting your left arch. So hips aren't squaring forward. Right hip is opening, left hip is releasing down, but you are squaring your torso to that long edge of your mat. So you're going to feel a little twist there, all of these little subtle things happening, and we're not even into the full pose yet. Inhale, arms reach up. Good. As you exhale, hinge at that left or right hip crease, left hips move back. Now let's just do that a couple times. So kind of warming up that little hip girdle. Exhale, like a little teapot here, a little hip hop dancer. Inhale, press up. Good. Exhale, pull your lower belly in. Nice work. Inhale up. And then exhale. Let's go for it this time. So keep reaching, reaching, reaching. When it feels like you can't get any longer, your hand could come to your thigh, to your shin, or this is where a block is really wonderful. Behind the foot, any height. Again, wrists underneath your shoulder, and then shoulders stacking on top of each other. Press more to the inner edge of both feet. Let's find that. Firm up the muscles in both of the legs. And then as you anchor down into that left heel, stretch long through this right side, and then maybe start to spin the ribs up. And let's get into the shoulder a little bit here. So start to externally rotate. So bringing your left palm to face behind you. Bend the elbow so you can press the back of your hand into your back. Lean this left elbow back. Maybe you get a little further, a little half wrap. So wherever you're at, you're just trying to find a little more openness and space across the heart and chest. Are you breathing? Are you smiling a little bit, even though this is intense? Couple more poses. Gaze might be down here. For a lot of us, that feels better in the neck. As you look down, though, make sure that you're still opening your heart and chest up towards the ceiling. Maybe you're looking straight ahead. It's just keeping the neck nice and long. Maybe you're looking up. So that puts the most pressure on the neck. Sometimes it feels okay. Sometimes it feels a little too intense. So monitoring that, making smart choices. Good. Let's unwrap here. Sigh of relief as you stretch that arm out and then really take up space in all directions. One of the best parts of this pose is how spacious it is. All right. So as we inhale, press into your feet. If you have your block, you can grab it. Parallel your feet here. Good. And then release your arms down. Give them a little break. Move that block behind your left ankle. All right. Second side. From deep within this left hip socket, turn that leg out to 90. So we're already finding inner thigh wrapping towards outer thigh as you press to the inner edge of the foot. Spin those right toes in. We're heel to arch. This right hip is releasing down. And then find that little twist in your torso so it's facing towards the long edge of your mat. So many things. Inhale, arms reach. Good. And then just like that gentle little movement, exhale, little length. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Inhale. This like reminds me of those like crazy car balloon things that they have out at the car lots. Am I the only one seeing that? It's like the slow motion of those blowing in the wind. All right, let's do one more. All right, exhale. Keep lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. When it feels like you can't get any longer, left hand to thigh, shin, or block, any height. Side to side, this can feel really, really different. So take that block higher if you need to. Feel your shoulder blades stacking on top of each other. Really vigorously press to the inner edge. of that left foot. So the mound of the big toe, the inner heel, you're going to find more hip opening. And then as you seal into the back edge of your right foot, lengthen a little more through that left side of your waist. Perhaps start to wrap those left ribs up towards the ceiling. Breath smooth and steady. And then we're going to spin our right palm to face behind us. We are externally rotating, elbow bends. So you can press the back of your hand into your spine to help you get that leverage, that shoulder opening. Maybe you can get the half wrap here. And then again, you're just letting your neck be nice and long wherever you're gazing, whether that's down, forward, or up. Sometimes we can lean it back a little far, or it can be a little forward. So again, just nice extension of your spine here. Couple more good breaths. Definitely a big stretch in the shoulder with this wrapped variation in our triangle pose. All right, so let's go ahead and inhale, stretch that right arm up. Hallelujah. Take a couple big breaths here, and as you do so, really stretch out, get big in this pose. And then you can just leave your block where it's at as you inhale. Come on up. Parallel your feet, release your arms by your side. Step the legs in, give them a little walk out. That was a long time to have them wide. And let's come into a little balance pose, a little tree pose. So we've worked our hip opening, so we're ready for this. So just finding a nice mountain. Arms by your side. Good, rooting down into your feet, especially that left foot. Feel that left hip squeeze and hold on to that. Come up onto your right toes and then find that hip opening. So you might just stay here like this. This is a great place to be. Maybe you lift your foot a little higher. Maybe you can reach down, use your hand to help you snuggle that foot into the upper thigh. So the only place we don't want the foot is on the knee. Then notice if you start to pop off to that left side, squeeze everything into the midline. Palms come together at your heart. Do you have the death grip in those left toes? Maybe see if you can spread them, lift them up. And then gently release down, press into the four corners of that foot. These standing balance poses are such great strengtheners for the feet, but they can also create a lot of tension because we're trying to keep ourselves upright. No, if you fall out of the pose, it's no big deal. This is how we figure it out, how we get good at it. And finally, there's this asymmetric feeling, or this, not asymmetric, isometric. That's what I'm looking for. So foot and thigh pressing in towards each other and then out against each other. So finally here, maybe you start to extend your arms up. See how tall you can get. Imagine that somebody's gently pulling up on your wrists. As you're doing that though, still keep those shoulder blades releasing towards your tailbone. Hi, Joey, are you doing a tree? Let's see your tree, kid. Let's see it. All right, as you exhale, hands come to heart center. And then we're gonna release that right leg. Again, just give the legs a little walk out here. That was a nice long hold in tree pose. It's again, really good way to build some strength, challenge the balance. All right, so arms can release by your side, rooting down into your right foot. Feel your lower belly pull in, right hip squeezes in, come up onto your left toes. And it's amazing, even just doing that sometimes feels really hard. Start to open up the hip. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you lift your left foot to that shin. Maybe you can get the foot a little higher. Doesn't matter. If you can't, you're still a good person. All right. Leg and foot squeezing in towards the midline, lengthening through the sides of your waist, directing your tailbone down. Palms together at your heart. Few breaths here. Finding something to gaze at in front of you that isn't moving. If you have children at home, that's impossible. So it might get a little breezy in this tree pose. That's okay. How does this side feel as compared to the other side? Again, check in with your toes. All right, do you have the death grip there? Soften. Just trust that gravity is keeping you where you need to be. And then finally, let's stretch the arms up. Maybe you even bring your gaze up. And again, things might get a little breezy. You might fall out of your tree, no big deal. And then as we exhale, we come back down to center. Release, and just give the legs a little walk out. And then let's come to seated. We're gonna come into a nice little hip stretch here. If you know that you tend to be a little tighter, if it's hard to sit tall, grab a blanket to sit up on. You can sit up on a block as well. And let's come into our Sukhasana, taking our right shin in front of our left shin. So as much as possible, trying to cross in the center. A good indication that you might need a little cushion underneath your booty is if your knees are up really high. So sometimes you actually need a couple of blankets, 2-3 blankets, that's absolutely okay. So we're gonna take a forward fold here. So you can reach your arms up and then exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Maybe you're gonna grab a block to place underneath your forehead if you're close-ish to the floor. And if you're pretty upright, that's okay too. As long as you're feeling a stretch in this outer right hip, you're good to be there. So for those of us that are a little more flexible, you might practice the version of stacking shins on top. So again, if this right knee pops up a lot, either take a block underneath there to give you some support or just come into this version. And then also be really mindful to keep this right foot flexed as you fold in. And then as you come in here, it's just going to intensify the stretch that you're getting in the glute and in that outer right hip. So another variation. You can continue with your Ujjayi here, that inhale through your nose, that exhale through the nose. For a lot of us, that just feels like really nice. That sound really helps us to focus, not get distracted. You can let go of that at this point as well. You're still inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Whatever you're doing, start to lengthen the breath out. So inhale to the count of 6 or 7 or 8, and then exhale to that same number. So we're shifting gears here. We're moving more towards this Shavasana phase of practice, this resting phase. So start to feel that in your body now and trigger that by shifting your breath. About 3 or 4 more good breaths here. Check in. Are you gripping anywhere that you don't need to? If you soften in those places, do you get a little more extension? Good. As you inhale, start to come on up. Let's keep the legs like this and just find a little twist. So as you inhale, stretch your arms out wide. And then as you exhale, start to wrap lowermost left ribs to the right. Good. And then left hand can come to the outside of your right thigh. Right fingertips reach behind you. You might even need to put your fingertips on a block if you're up on a blanket. Press shoulder heads back. So the spine is nice and tall here. We're just like wringing it out like a little washcloth. And if that's intense in your body, you just do a little less, you go less far. So again, there's always ways to modify this. You might be moving towards bringing your gaze out over that right shoulder or going in that direction. Good, deep inhale. Exhale, unwind, come back to center. Extend legs to straight, give them a little shake. And then we recross with that left shin in front. This side could feel completely different, so modify as needed. You can be here, take the forward fold. Again, you can stack shins if that is in your wheelhouse, if you're a little more flexible in the hips. So a lot of women, this tends to be a little easier. So it can be a nice little variation so you get a little more stretch and sensation. And then as always, you don't have to be in very deep. You might be sitting pretty upright just on fingertips, especially if you're tighter. As long as you're feeling the stretch in your body, that's where you need to be. If you're a little more open and you're sliding forward, getting close to the floor, maybe rest your forehead on something, whether that's your block. You could make fists with your hands. Again, gentle flex of the feet just to engage the muscles around the knees so we don't put any undue pressure on the knee joint. And then stretching out that breath. Good. As you inhale, start to make your way out. Good. Next inhale, stretch your arms up, or out and up, I guess. And then as you exhale, start to twist to the left. Feel this lowermost right rib. Initiate that journey. And then hands release down. So right hand to the outside of that left thigh. Using that leverage to help you press your shoulder heads back. Left fingertips behind you on the floor or on a block. Inhaling, finding lots of length. And then exhaling, emptying out, twisting in. Maybe starting to bring your gaze out over that left shoulder. Good, one more deep inhale. Exhale, unwind, come back to center, and then extend legs, give them a little shake, and then give yourself a hug here. So bend the knees in, give yourself a little squeeze, release your nose to your knees. A little yoga poetry there for you. And then we're gonna come into our Shavasana. So making your way onto your back, you might want to set up with a little support underneath your knees. That can always be nice. You could also have knees bent, feet wide, knees knocking in towards each other. And then just take your arms by your side, a little wider than shoulders distance apart. Feel this openness, this stretch across your heart and chest. Nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. And a moment or two here. In stillness, soaking up the quiet, soaking up all of the hard work you've done this past hour. Okay, take a deeper inhale here. Sigh the breath out as you exhale, ha. And then wiggle fingers, toes. Bring some gentle movement back to your body. Stretch out. Then you're gonna roll to one side or the other. Find the fetal position. Use your hands to help you press up to a comfortable seat. So sitting tall here, noticing how good it feels. So you've created a lot of space and ease and strength in your body. So soak that up. Observe how your breath is different than when we started. It's a little steadier, a little richer. And of course, maybe the best part of our yoga practice is the beautiful calming, happifying effect. That's a word I just made up. It has on the mind. So it does shift things. So finally, just send yourself so much love and gratitude for showing up and working hard. It's not always easy to do, but it does make a difference. And finally, just promise yourself you're going to carry this feeling with you into the rest of the weekend ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart. Bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work today, yogis. Thank you. So good to see all of you.